Smithy's favorite color. And Aurelia going to be the first ban here on the side of SKT. She has been pretty ridiculous. Been seeing Teddy playing her as well, actually. On the bottom side of the map, Cassiopeia, a no-brainer.
Loving
the red side.
Polite round of applause from the fans. They're hyped to be here. SKT versus Jinner, game number 1 on patch 9.1, as you can see in the top of your screen. So we are on the live patch. As far as I know, nothing is disabled. So Nico and the rest have had all their bugs cleaned up and should be re-enabled. SKT for now, not happy to deal with any of these flex assassins. We're back at Worlds, it seems, and Aurelia Akali, the first 2 bans. And the Cassiopeia, we know that can be a bot lane superstar. We saw Viper play it in 2 wins against Genji in the Kesper Cup final. The Lucian banned as well. So far, Teddy is going to be shouldering some of the attention from his old squad.
Yeah, so Lucian taking off the board. The Akali was aimed at Linderung. He had a great performance, actually, on that champion. It was against Reverse Gaming, so not necessarily a team that you should be too worried about. However, did look good. And Aatrox going to be the final ban as well. Most likely up against Linderung.
And are we just going to see Sejuani first pick in this game? Because Sejuani seems very, very powerful based on both competitive agreement, talking to pro players, seeing in solo queue. I think for sure we will see a picked or banned in this first game, but let's see if it is going to be as high as first pick status. Always trying to understand what's left open as Jinner looking for their final ban on red side. It's going to be the Jace, interestingly. A big favorite of Khan, and we saw it in the bot lane from Viper in the Kesper Cup final.
Yeah, exactly right. And people have been playing it a lot in solo queue as well. The Urgot does still stand tall, was definitely high priority in the LPL as we saw on this patch, but extraordinarily high priority for Khan and for SKT in the Kesper Cup.
And maybe SKT will go with what worked in the Kesper Cup and say, well, guess what? Both of the Aftershock abusing mid laners are available. Lissandra and Galio can get one of them. You can't necessarily get both. But with the Urgot already locked in, they can guarantee an Aftershock mid laner if they want to play that similar style. On the side of Jinner here, Zyra Khan. Now, Khan is actually the most banned champion by Griffin in the Kesper Cup. A lot of respect shown to potential engage available there. Saw some slight nerfs being considered around the PBE and around the recent patches, but Rakan will be the first pick here from Jinner and their new duo lane. Remember, guys, it is not Nova. It is not going to be Grace in the starting lineup here. It is Root and Kellen as this very young duo who are being allowed to debut together and preferred over Stitch and Nova.
And Jinner have decided to go with the Ultra Engage combo of the Rakan Galio. The Gargoyle delivery system is certainly set up here for Jinner, and I'm actually surprised that Kellen didn't go for his Thresh. His Thresh was fantastic, roamed very, very early when we first saw him make his debut. He did partake in what was the worst dive of all time on that champion. However, still was able to do some pretty fantastic things to get them through the later stages of that game. The Ezreal to be locked in here for Teddy, and they're going to pair it up with the Tahm Kench. Pretty standard, what was a Gen G combo, now turned into what feels like an SKT combo.
It's definitely the safety-first duo on the blue side here for SKT. Jinner, they're actually considering going for a much more risky lane here with the Rakan and Kai'Sa, the out-of-lane specialists rather than in-lane specialists. Not like Ezreal and Tahm have kill pressure, but they definitely will be in a stronger part in the 2v2 as our first round is finally locked in. Camille could be considered as a jungle here for Malrung just to have the Camille Galio engage, and could definitely be a low threat comp with just as much CC as possible for Kai'Sa to pop off.
Well, Zoe's going to be banned away from Faker. It's been a long time since we've seen him play that champion. I think Lissandra probably would have been a bit of a no-brainer there, but they might be wanting to first round it and potentially give it over to Linderung, just add to more AoE in these team fights.
Faker's usual fallback into something like Galio in the past has been something like the Azir that he played in the Kesper Cup. Can get away with a lot of farming lanes against Galio, in spite of the fact that on 9.1, his numbers haven't been changed. He's very, very strong on the burst.
They listen to you, Papa Smithy, so they are going to ban it away.
They don't want them to farm out, so the Azir will be banned, like we mentioned. Might just default to Lissandra for a bit of a farm lane. So the Camille Galio is denied. Still no visit to the Piggy, though. Sejuani, so far, has fallen through picks and bans.
Absolutely crazy. As the final ban could potentially be a jungler, might be that Sejuani. Nocturne also works great with the Galio-type compositions, as it's actually the Kindred, another champion that does work well with a lot of circles on top of her.
And let's zoom in on who the jungler is rather than picks that fit the comp. It's Malrung, the guy who played the first jungle Jace, the guy who played the first jungle Jax. Jungle Jax could actually be an interesting choice here if they want to go that way. If they want to go normal, you take Sejuani and go for a last pick top lane here. But if you want to go Malrung, you last pick your jungle, and you know this guy plays just like Spirit, 130-odd champions in the jungle. So they're going to lock in the Scion. Iceborne Gauntlet Scion is what we saw from the Shy. It can beat Urgot in lane, but we saw more often than not, Khan was having his way with the Urgot versus Scion matchup back at Kesper Cup.
Yeah, we'll see whether Linderung can just pilot his way out of that lane and possibly affect the rest of the map, as now Victor is being considered. Most likely for Faker, but of course remember that the Urgot can head towards the mid lane if we want to. And it is going to be locked in there, so could be that Khan's piloting that one. But that being said, you can get away with the Kleptomancy Victor in the mid lane against the Galio relatively easily. It's another one of those matchups, like you say, you can certainly abuse using your extra range. As now Mata, considering what he wants to do to round this one out, Lee Sin is still available and something that Klid showed incredible mastery on in the LPL and also in the Kesper Cup.
You are both a prophet and right on the money, Atlas, because Klid's Lee Sin to me is the cleanest in the world. He makes someone like Flawless look flawed on the Lee Sin. He is fantastic on that pick. But it does mean they had to blind pick jungle, and jungle matchups, if you're not going tank versus tank, can be a lot more swingy. We're getting Lee Sin versus Xin Zhao here, as the Xin Zhao, which was disabled for the majority of Kesper Cup, is back and allows for a very aggressive option. If I look at this duo, if we do end up with Victor mid lane, you have to expect that Malrung and Chongo are going to be focusing on killing Faker again and again, but we'll know at 20 seconds if it's Faker on Urgot or Faker on Victor.
Exactly, and I mean, this is what your brain tells you, is that it's going to be the classic Victor top, but Faker has played so much Victor in his time, and Khan as well is the Urgot play. You have to wait for that one to tick down before we'll know. Theoretically, on the side of Jinner, it's the same thing, but no swaps are going to come in. And that's going to be Khan on the Victor top lane. The Urgot in the mid lane for Faker there as well. And I want to go over to the other side. You talk about the cleanest Lee Sin. Well, as far as Xin Zhao players are concerned, you may think of the Jace for Malrung because he was the one that debuted it. However, this guy on an aggressive go-in jungler, that is the essence of how Malrung managed to get such an MVP status when he did first promote into the LCK with Ever 8 winners. Excited to see what they're going to be able to do, because I feel like both teams got exactly the flavor that they wanted for both of these comps.
But what I like is we have very different identities, because if you look at SKT's draft, you think, wow, this is really safe. It's a really safe draft. Urgot first pick can deal with most lanes. The Victor's a strong laner. Ezreal, Tahm Kench is safe. Lee Sin's going to be farming till 6. It's kind of a safety first. We're in this big lull park. We're the dream team. We need to win. Let's just not mess up draft and go safe. Meanwhile, the Xin Zhao Galio is much more on the playmaking side. The bot lane is a lot more risky in the 2v2. So Jinner, the team that's definitely got a lot less expectation, is kind of thrusting themselves into the aggressor role. Meanwhile, SKT is kind of saying, stay away from me, I'll get to where I need to be, and wants to be a bit more non-interactive. So how that all comes together in this low park debut is going to be so fun to watch.
Yeah, we are going to find out right now. Here we are, onto the Rift for game number 1.
미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
Still trying to get our heads around exactly when all of the fan chants are going to come in, and okay, Root's going to make at least first volley against Teddy.
It's the first day, Atlas, and you know, everyone's had a first day at school, a first day at work.
Yep.
There's a lot of kinks to work out on the first day, and there's also a lot to remember. There's some
Hail of Blades Xin Zhao.
Okay, we'll talk about Hail of Blades first before I go into my diatribe, but Hail of Blades got a big buff on patch 9.1, 110% attack speed for your first 3 autos. There's a great video of Faker solo killing Khan many times on the Jax versus Ryze matchup top lane, because Hail of Blades is so insane on any champion with anything like an auto attack reset, because you don't consume it when you Q. So you get basically like 4 or 5 autos in a second, it feels like. So basically it's about very early power. Your first gank, getting those 3 autos in when no one has armor or MR or really significant stats early, means you do huge burst damage. So Hail of Blades, Jax top, Hail of Blades, Xin Zhao. You'll see Hail of Blades on a lot of people who dive into, say, Electrocute or Dark Harvest, into that particular domination tree, because Hail of Blades right now on those sort of champions is really high powered.
All right, now you can go into your diatribe if you'd like to, Smithy.
I mean, it's one of those things where you have to remember, Atlas, that, you know, right now we're 4 years removed from the Champions era. For the first 3 years, if you guys weren't joining us with Korean League of Legends in 2012, 2013, 2014, it was a tournament circuit. You know, you played single round robin best of 2s into knockout tournament format. It was only with the LCK, the League of Legends Champions Korea, in 2015 that we became double round robin best of 3s. Of our starting 80 players in the LCK this year, only 10 of them played in Champions. So we actually only have 13% of our players who are those old names like Faker and Mada and Smeb. The new generation is what Korea is about, because Korea are not world champions. Korea is trying to redefine themselves after being the 4th most successful region at Worlds. I'm sure we have fans who won't be tuning in at 4 a.m. in America anymore to join us because there are LCS, LEC, LPL games that grab their attention. And to those people I say, absolutely, you've made the right choice for you. But this is the start of a rebirth. This is the start of a re-debut for Korea. There is an ascent Korea has reached before that they can reach again in the future. And thank you to everyone who has joined us here today, because this is the first step.
Yeah, and this is also going to be very exciting because we haven't seen Korea in this position ever.
And what does it mean, Atlas? We can't know today. And I love stories. I love mysteries. I love finding things out about new builds, about Halo Blades, but also about what history will say about this day. Because this could be the restart of Korea's ascent, or just kind of putting it all together that Korea has a lot of work to do to match the other regions.
We'll see how much we're actually going to find out now as we put our attention back to the game. At the moment, SKT does have a slight lead when it comes to farming out these lanes, which you'd expect from the Dream Team. You'd imagine some prowess in the killing front as Malrung just pokes his head out just to give his position away. Faker knows exactly what's going on. He's just going to play safe back underneath that turret.
And safety first is what we kind of talked about with the draft here from SKT. A lot of safe lanes, and Clit is on a level 6 jungler. We're not going to observe probably too much interaction in the early game. That suits the most, I would say, Jinez bot lane is a bit of a mishmash here. We see Kai'Sa Rakan pretty frequently because, man, the best of Kai'Sa Rakan, the YouTube highlight of what they're doing at a level 16 team fight, like, bellissimo, the best plays I've seen. The laning phase, though, you can definitely be exposed. You don't have the extra range on the battle dance, so Rakan can't really go in for W and Kai'Sa Q trades and just not take a huge amount of damage. He obviously has pretty low base stats. You have to take Guardian, just try to get over that struggle. And Teddy against his old squad should basically have his run of the lane, and Klepto procs and early tier into Sheen are almost guaranteed when you're against a Kai'Sa Rakan.
And it is double Klepto versus no Klepto, which is probably why we're experiencing a 500 gold lead as Malrung once again going to stand out of the brush, but slightly out of vision
Halo
range.
Blades, Malrung.
Yeah, Khan is going to get slowed down. The flash over the gravity field. Can he actually escape this? The Halo Blades does a lot of damage, but not quite enough. Red Bomb burns down, and he picks it up. Already had the Skirmisher's Saber, so the Smite was enough to help out.
Hail of Blades gets Khan again. It was Faker and solo queue, and now it's just all the extra autos. Remember, the base AD is relevant this early. You might not have 80 items, but it adds up when you're getting 3 extra autos in. A miscalculation and first blood, Jinne.
Yep, big teleport coming in here towards the bottom side, theoretically, but no, it's just Teddy coming back to lane. Grabs himself some gold as well as he gets back in, as he goes for the domination decision with the Sheen first. Not going to have the tier back or anything like that, wanting to continue to put the pressure on.
The only good news story is that Khan does get his first Hex Core upgrade, had 1150 gold. Let's watch the replay and just watch the attack speed on the Xin Zhao. He goes in here, Khan is so high in health, but Malrung knows he gets those extra autos in and the Q. So the first 4 autos are in less than 2 seconds. The burn, it was 15 health, then it was 0. It wasn't much of an overkill. When it comes to that quiz question of who got the first ever kill in the LCK in Lowell Park, you can never take it away from Malrung.
Yeah, Malrung is certainly the man that did it. Not necessarily going to win the game, as that gold lead has basically not changed since that time. However, if this snowball continues, this Xin Zhao could do some ridiculous things. And I like it as well, Papa, because we haven't been able to talk about Xin Zhao in Korea since he was disabled in the Kesper Cup. You'd think he probably would have had a whole lot more play had he been enabled, but we weren't able to see him in the last patch.
You guys did not tune into Kesper Cup. That was a BBQ Oliver situation where BBQ was playing at the time through some LS genius, we'll say. The top lane Xin Zhao, on a turret dive, the Xin Zhao ult in an AoE did 70% of both an AD carry, I think a tank's health, at level 1. So that's not supposed to happen.
It was approximately 700 or 800 damage.
It was an insane amount of damage for a level 1 ability that doesn't scale with anything. So because of that, the champion was disabled. There is in the patch notes that Xin Zhao's ult doesn't do insane damage anymore. And we get Xin Zhao back, which Malrung seems very happy about.
Yes, you can understand that as well. Malrung, of course, really enjoying the early aggression. Faker as well, looks like he's having a pretty good time here in this lane at the same time. 12 CS advantage. Shoving up, trying to grab that first 160 gold bucket, and should be able to do so. Oh no, not quite there. Man, that is a sliver away.
Having a look at the turret plates for now, or turret checkpoints, I sometimes interchangeably call them. One taken in the mid lane, but otherwise no other turret checkpoints taken. A lot of things, and we'll try to
Oh, he did end up getting
talk
it.
about everything. It's in the mid lane. They're trying for this.
Yeah, Justice Punch is going to come down, but Disdain beautifully cancels it out. Winds of War is down there from Chongno, but Faker not worried about that one at all, able to offer so much damage back, and Urgot standing the test of the Galio pretty well here in the mid lane.
And the Faker mid lane global Teemo situation going on there, the global taunt that Faker has always had, was clearly on full display. That was a Scion roam and a 2-man gank in the mid lane, so a 3-man gank. Try to take down Faker. The summoner is enough, and we already talked about how Xin Zhao Galio are pretty deadly. We've already seen the overkill of the top lane, the turret dive, so smarter Faker to be safety first. Bot side river was controlled by Jin Air, but it's now kind of gone, and right now the river control that you kind of plug and play for Jin Air has been removed at this point in the game.
Well, Marong, he's level 6, but so is Clid. He's been very quiet so far this game, now going to be going back to try and grab some items before he decides to kick his first player in the face. Khan, like you say, gets his first Hex Core upgrade. You can actually see him evolving the Death Ray instead of the Q this time, so it's going to be more of that AP variant that we've seen more and more of on the top side, no longer seeing as many of these the Frozen Fists on the Victors.
You still might see Iceborne Gauntlet, but the Q first evolve kind of went away when it was nerfed twice, and there was some buffs put into Death Ray. Remember, Scion also has a lot of non-interactive wave clear as well, so just being able to shove back with the Death Ray is pretty important to allow item timings to come in for the other lanes, so I think it'll be pretty standard to see the Death Ray as the first evolve. The Victor, I think, Khan is the big winner of the lane swap that happened, because Victor can farm out against Galio just fine, but Khan is going to have a much better laning phase than the Urgot, and you can't go Iceborne Gauntlet on Linderang and just trade into the Victor. You need to go Magic Resist. So Scion is hurt the most. SKT, we already mentioned how bot lane was going to be a wash for them. How about Infernal Drake to get an extra advantage around there?
Yeah, uncontested. SKT will just take that one for free. 1,000 gold now, going to be the lead there as well, almost passively, after First Blood going over to Jin Air. They just keep farming, keep getting these Kleptomancy procs, and keep putting the pressure on. I don't want to talk about, you know, this being old SKT, but it feels like an old SKT game where it feels like you just can't, you have to do more than you otherwise would expect in order to stay in a game.
They definitely have gone for a comp their fans will know and probably deride to some degree, because it's not the explosive stuff that we saw from them in their debut in the Kesper Cup. But I hope, when it comes to their fans' hopes there, that this is just a team comp thing. If you're playing a passive comp, play it passive. If you're playing aggressive comp, play it aggressive. And also, when Clid sees an opening, you know he'll take it. And to me, Clid is the tempo setter here. He's the thermometer of this game, because Lee Sin, post-level 6, does have access to the kick in so many different creative gank paths. He's actually going to take the blue buff. Not sure if that was intentional or just the fact that it released away from Faker, who really wanted his mid lane farm.
Yeah, Faker actually just didn't care, wanted to get that first minion, so decides to forego. The blue buff is going to give Clid a little bit more energy regen and some CDR, which I guess Lee Sin doesn't like all that much given the energy-based champion. Is now Jin Air continuing to look for this mid lane gank. Remember, Faker has the Ghost, no longer with the Flash, but does have the ability to switch to that one if he wants to, and Malrung just going to look a little bit foolish as he wanders through the mid lane.
The control ward there is actually undoing a lot of these rotations from Jin Air. They're predictable because the Scion has roamed first, but they're guaranteed when you actually have the control ward down. So the control ward being there, it's kind of a once more with feeling situation on that gank. Faker doesn't even have to blow the Ghost in order to get away from the gank. No harm, no foul. The farming continues for SKT.
Yeah, similar situation there on the bottom side with that control ward as well as the cheeky little ward above the red buff. So Jin Air with a lot of information as well, able to peer over this wall. Kellen hasn't actually, I haven't seen him use his grand entrance at all, hasn't started any fights, but of course Jin Air, we know they've got so many tools to get action happening in this mid-game as it does dawn on us.
So how do you play out the mid-game if you're SKT as well? A lot of fans will be asking. The way these Ezreal Tahm Kench comps work is they are so good at mid lane.
Well, there's the grand entrance. We've got the heroic entrance to come down as well, but the combination not quite enough. Clid grabs that first kill, sacrifices himself, but able to get one back after all of those Ultimates is certainly a big deal. Chongo now up against Faker and the rest of the team as well. That Justice Punch looked real interesting, but it wasn't enough to get him out of dodge. And that's going to be 2 going over to SKT.
And we're surprised to see that engaged by Jin Air because we already mentioned the bot side is their weak side of the map. They're playing around the fact that Kai'Sa and Rakan have no lane presence. They try for a desperate all-in. Like you say, probably the first grand entrance and quickness of the game.
Yeah.
And yet it's easily turned around as top side.
Well, Khan's the golden boy, and Linderung got made to look a little bit foolish. However, certainly still has a massive lead when it comes to the health bar. Khan can't get out of that one. Just a single charge on the decimating smash. Finishes him off, and Faker now just cleans up minions. Can't get onto the side.
Linderung won't get a free recall, but he will get a free kill. Solo kill on the top side. Big moment for Linderung. No canceling of TPs in the 2019 meta, as the visual bugs are just on our side, guys. That's just a spectator bug rather than anything the players are facing, thankfully, so we'll have to laugh about the funny moments. We watched the replay here. We weren't anticipating an attempt at an all-in because, again, the Kai'Sa doesn't get involved here till very, very late, and after the wombo, they have no safe way to escape because they don't have priority hiding up towards the mid lane or going towards the bot lane. They separate, and 2 for 1 is the kill trade for SKT.
Yeah, Chongo just sacrifices himself. The call was not to go in, otherwise the Kai'Sa would have probably gone down as well. So, good guy Galio. The star makes that sacrifice for the team.
Good guy Galio's GGG, I like it.
Yeah.
Pretty good nickname there.
Well, I mean, he always finds himself in the middle of everyone.
It's true. Chongo was able to make some nice moves there on the Galio. Seeing the harass come through, not having a fun lane phase, but an HCS disadvantage is definitely not the biggest one for the Kai'Sa here.
Be all and end all.
The turret plates have gone down. Only one, I believe, was claimed by the Ezreal and Tom. So Jin have done a pretty good job bot side of repelling this aggression from SKT, but SKT still do shoulder a pretty nice gold lead, about 2,000 gold in the early game.
Yeah, so if you're an SKT fan, you're looking at this and you're thinking, oh, 2-3, that doesn't look so good, but you're looking at the gold and you're thinking things are going great. However, ease of execution, I feel, does go in the hands of Jin Air Green Wings for this game. If they just put their faces in, all 5 people at once, they'll likely get a hell of a lot of CC and try and be able to take someone down. However, SKT, a lot of finesse in their composition, a lot of ability to clear waves, control, get picks. See if they can play around that.
Ezreal is always about timings. The reason why Korean Ezreal has always done pretty damn well, it's always been a very good champion here, not one to be derided like NAJs, for example.
Yeah.
One reason why Korean Ezreal has always worked is get your 2 items, go mid with a Tahm Kench, and get the ability to just farm in the mid lane, get a fast mirror mana, and be so powerful. But before then, we're seeing more fighting.
Yeah, Marta's in trouble. Eats the grey health, uses the flashes. There's the killer instinct. Marta in trouble. Gets underneath the turret, and he will be okay. True shot barrage. The heal is used even though Kellen was out of range because, yes, I think that may have killed. Malron gets slowed down. Audacious charges. Use the E beautifully there from Teddy. Devour right on hand. Now they're able to offer some damage back. However, is it going to be enough to stop this tower from going down?
A lot of melee champions are very overextended to get turret damage. Here's Faker. He's just going to try and herd them away. No kill there. Half a Teemo away from that taunt being oh so important and getting them the kill bot side. And meanwhile, Clearly uses his free time to take down the Rift Herald and try to get the first turret on the board for SKT.
Yeah. Should be able to at least get some work done here with this Rift Herald on the top side of the map. Shelly, just to get that charge happening. Linderung not going to be able to clear out the wave in time. He'll likely just have to leave and let this tower fall down. So first turret going over to SKT. First Dragon going to them as well. Not able to find the gank due to Teddy having some pretty swift movements alongside of Marta.
Victor has the priority if you go into the death ray first. We've seen the mid lane Fakers had the priority. This is again the safety first scaling draft we talked about on the side of SKT. Pretty low interaction stuff. So getting the first turret blood wasn't a guarantee. Jinner had made the better map moves, it felt like, even if not all of them had come off. But get punished for not taking the kill on the bot side. SKT now with the Rift Herald just accelerate how fast that top lane turret went down. We were almost at the point where Sion was tanky enough to just tank turret waves and clear in the face of his enemy. The Rift Herald ends that, and now SKT has some more options when it comes to map plays.
And this goes back to what you were talking about before as far as this lane swap really working out for SKT, because Khan does force him to build the magic resist, adaptive helm already done here for Linderung, and now as far as in a team fight, he's not going to be that brick wall that's blocking three of the other members from doing damage. Of course, Teddy, a lot of mixed damage, however, mostly physical, alongside the Lee Sin and the Urgot also there. So Doesn't feel as good to be the Scion moving into the mid game as you otherwise would think if you had the opportunity to go to a different item.
And Atlas, it doesn't feel as good to take down an early outer turret and push in a wave, because something that's been discussed in the community quite a bit. With the fact that minions move faster, the ability to just push a minion wave in and know it would push back, and inevitably, it's not there anymore, but we'll hold the macro points because we might have a team fight.
Yeah, fight coming in here as Malrong does have that ultimate running. The stopwatch is down as Linderong makes its way into this fight as well. This is the Jin Air composition. This is what they want to do, but Linderong is just getting soloed out. No one else making their way in. The Chaos Storm just destroying Jin Air's bottom lane as Kellen existed once, but no longer. The fight continues on the top side. It is straight front to back from SKT, and the Zombie Scion cannot do anything. Jin Air just couldn't pull a trigger.
Clear looking for an exit kill on route. Will he hit this one?
Can he find it? Yes, he does. Oh, it was almost a bait, but who was baiting? Who was Clid goes golden. Linderong gets hit by the Q. Can he do it?
Oh!
Follows it through. He even gave Teddy the time to get the kill if he wanted to. Missed it. And then Clid able to follow up with a resonating strike. This is why you don't let him play the Lee Sin.
There's no Lee syndrome problems with Clid. It's a Clin syndrome, baby. Every time I see him, I want to see him lock in that Lee Sin. Really nice kick there to finish it all off. And the thing for Jin Air was they were all front row for the initiation you talked about, the initiation that they had set up for themselves. But unfortunately, based on that, the timings were off. They didn't fully commit at the same time. And that means that SKT is there to mop it up. Watch the replay here. So Malrong has to ult very, very early. He's able to ult through and stasis through the kick. But notice that there's no actual commitment from Kellen. He doesn't actually profit off the Scion in the backline. And then it's just meaty champions with low threat for SKT's very maneuverable damage threats. Just pick off one by one and kill.
Yep, it felt like SKT just... all the check marks for how to win a team fight against this comp were met. You know, you don't get hit by the Wombo AoE, you make sure that these ultimates are now off time, and then you can clean things up with the fact that your composition does work out a little bit better in that regard. Clid gets that Triumph Rock, hits the last Q. Even Teddy tanking that turret at the end, oh, it's just so beautiful to watch.
You would have seen very clearly that he would not be in turret aggro range, so no chance of a trade kill. That's Clid Lee Sin. That's why everyone is just as happy to see Clid lock in Lee Sin as people in the past have been about Faker locking in LeBlanc or Khan locking in Jace. These are picks that are synonymous with players, and Clid is definitely the most underexplored of the new additions to the SKT Dream Team. But I have a feeling the SKT fans are going to enjoy their new jungler.
Yep, absolutely. If you weren't watching the Casper Cup, yeah, welcome to Clid. This is what you're supposed to expect from this guy, and oftentimes you say, oh, don't jinx it. With Clid, it just doesn't feel like you can.
Teddy also feels like he can be the late game insurance that Bang often represented for SKT. It was Faker in the mid game and Bang just being there to have 6 items on an AD carry and do that AD carry thing that was the standby of so many Worlds victories. Teddy himself fast on the way to the standard Ezreal build. Double tier is back in the meta. Will be completed here pretty damn fast from Teddy, I imagine. I see him sometimes in solo queue with a 26-minute Seraphs, which lets you know that he can get that transformation very early.
Yeah, exactly. And I like getting the last chapter here first before getting the extra tier, because there's no point until you've stacked your first one. Oh my god!
No damage fall off in 2019.
Nope.
What did I say in Casper Cup again and again? You were at home listening. A lot of you viewers, and also you, Atlas.
Yep.
Ezreal's pretty bonkers right now in terms of power levels. Feels like a lot of his kit, especially the Q cooldown reduction timings, are based on his old ultimate. Taking away the damage fall off. Yes, it's still there on monsters. You can't push sideways. Wei Xiao as a single tier somewhere in Chinese solo queue. But when it comes to pro play, if anyone is stacking under a turret, you basically have old AP Kragus barrel, because you throw down the ult and then they can't defend anymore because their health bars are gone.
Yeah, it's the classic ultimate that you just use for damage, but this one does it in an AoE and does about half a health bar as well. Doesn't matter whether you're a tank or not. It is absolutely terrifying. And Teddy, of course, makes it look even more brutal with how he plays out this Ezreal, especially in the laning phase. Notice just Arcane shifting forward with every opportunity.
And this is the sort of team where...
It's a 10,000 gold lead, by the way.
If Jin Air's ahead, you look at this team that you can never Arcane shift in the wrong direction, which is ahead, right? Because you're like, oh, wow, Xin Zhao, Sion, Galio, Rakan, they're all catch champions. Hell, even a random W from... the Kai'Sa can do a catch job as well, but from 10,000 gold ahead, as you outline, Atlas, Teddy can do whatever he wants. SKT have full run over the map, and while it started pretty promisingly, for Jin Air. Now it feels like more the expected path of this game. It feels like we're one team fight away from SKT closing the door on the first game in Lopar.
Yep. Second Dragon to come in here. Remember, SKT did manage to get the first perfect game in the Kesper Cup. The debut of turret plating meant that getting perfect games became a little bit more difficult. They didn't get a Baron, but that was because they won at about 21 minutes.
The dream game is what we called it, because I think it's still a perfect game if you don't get all the turret plates, if you still have all the turrets and the enemy has 0.
Yeah.
But getting all the turret plates may never happen again. It might be a mirage. Remember the Dancing Rift Herald we saw from Longzhu Gaming versus Fnatic at Worlds a couple of years ago? The sort of thing you just never see in pro play. Dream game might prove to be that. The Dream Team, however, feeling pretty good about their first game at Lopar.
Exactly. And remember, guys, this is the team that was able to get that dream game, but then were pipped at the post by W1D1 Gaming, who we'll be seeing in our next matchup as well. So make sure you stick around for that one to see what they can do up against Gen G, our runners-up, the Kesper Cup. To fall to Griffin also doesn't feel that bad. They went 8-0 in that tournament.
Definitely expecting the second series to be a super competitive one. Weren't ever to be sure about this one, but this is the normalcy a lot of people would have predicted. Teddy walks up, doesn't seem to give too many mundos about turret shots. He's got the Iceborne Gauntlet. He's feeling fine. Linderung's hoping and living on a prayer. If you're this Jin Air comp, you got to fight sometime, and maybe that sometime is now.
Yeah, but he also feels pretty irrelevant at this point. His root, it gets almost blown up in one combo. That was disgusting, as now Linderung has to flash out because he thought it was the go button, but no, they don't have an AD carry for this fight. Now they don't have a Scion. He is definitely dead. Teddy pops over the wall once again. And that is basically 2 picks for the price of 1, because that is a Kai'Sa having to go back, and they might be able to get some damage on this inhibitor turret.
Sadly, has mistook the go button for the mute button, ended up going at the wrong time there, so just easily turned upon 1v5. No way to pull off ganks like that anymore. Faker tags up this turret, and they want the first inhibitor of the game at 24 minutes.
Yep, already down to half health. Winds of War not actually able to land onto those caster minions in the backline there as well, so not able to clear out the minion wave, and SKT 5 members strong. Take down the first inhibitor of LCK 2019. 24 minutes into this game.
So back away from here, SKT. Probably one more full reset, get the wards cemented around Baron, and then Baron closes the door on Jin Air Green Wings. Items starting to come together. No Saracen Brace transformation yet, but that's really all you need on the Ezreal to have everything locked and loaded. 2 items done on the Kai'Sa, but sadly it feels like the 2 items are a little bit too late. There isn't as strong a front line from SKT, but there's so much threat onto the Kai'Sa that finding time to unload a couple of barrages of your passive seems impossible.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Jin Air, had their composition been able to work the way they wanted to, they'd make the proactive play. They'd go forward, they'd land the heroic entrance on top of something like Linderung, stunning a whole bunch of people with his choo-choo train, and then everything will be brilliant. However, if you can't do that, Root has no opportunity to get any autos ever, because Teddy outranges him and kills him in 2 autos and a Mystic. He's just not much he can do. And
Teddy himself, first 1,000 gold bounty wearer of LCK professional play. In the Kesper Cup, we had Ryan playing on the side of GC Busan. In the LCK, the one to remember will be Teddy. And how many times will we see Teddy with a 1,000 gold bounty? You'd be a betting man to say less than 50%.
You'd be a bit insane. SKT have already shown us that they're more than happy to play around their new special delivery from Jin Air of 2018. Abyssal Voyage, just for some map movement. Wouldn't be Marta without making the good plays to get the objectives, put the screws in to win this game. It's what he was good at on KT. It was what he was good at on RNG. Continuing that prowess here. 2019 on SKT.
Jin Air only have all-in options. Galio has some decent wave clear, but a lot of it's short range. Here's the all-in!
Here we are. That's a 4-man quickness to start this one off. Could this be the team fight they're looking for? Is already Marta has fallen down. SKT, they do not want to bar of it. It's Fear Beyond Death. Just takes down Root. There is nothing that this Kai'Sa can do against this comp by the looks of things. And they're trying to get more. Chongo just goes the wrong way, gets picked off, and SKT, that looked like a fight they couldn't win, but still they're able to do it. Khan getting the Chaos Storm in there, pulled back onto the gravity field, and he'll go down to his zombie form, and I feel like the rest of the team may follow.
Jin Air finally pull off the execution the coach would have been looking for from the draft, but it's 10,000 gold behind. All of the damage still available on SKT, and they will win the game here.
I think that might have been a Sheen proc that took Kellen down to that low health bar, but Faker flash sustaining him. They want to get the kills before they finish off this Nexus. Half the health bar now. Root wants to try and get rid of it, but we've already gone picture-in-picture, and SKT take game 1 of LCK 2019.
SKT understood their team comp and played safe. Yes, there was some deaths on the top side, but they were scaling until the point where they were ready to turn on, and from that point, they closed the door on Jin Air, ended up being a comfortable pre-30-minute victory, and in summation, SKT did what they needed to. It wasn't maybe as explosive in the early game, but their fans will give them a pass this one time.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And of course, you just wouldn't expect anything else from this composition. If it was a close game, you know that SKT fans would be disappointed. So this is about the result that you could expect and be happy with for SKT, because it was so clean. It was so controlled, and it was by the book. They looked at the composition, they did what they had to do in order to pick it apart, and it looked beautiful while they did it. Shout out to Cleared with his glorious plays on the Lee Sin, and Teddy for doing absolutely busted damage.
Shout out to Linderong for the solo kill on Khan. Still going to be some issues integrating Khan. Saw them at the Kesper Cup. Saw them here in the early parts of game number 1. So imagine the top laner is the only one who might have the magnifying glass on from the SKT coaching staff.
Yeah, and Malrong with his first gank working out very well against Khan, like you were saying. So very excited to see what he can do moving into game number 2, because of course it is a best of 3. Before that though, we've got some highlights. See you afterwards.